Some stories don't begin in darkness. They create it. Jeffrey Epstein was once known as a financier, a man who moved comfortably among billionaires, politicians, royalty, and celebrities. He owned multiple luxury properties, flew private jets across continents, and lived a life defined by wealth, access, and influence. But behind that image, investigators say something else sinister was operating. For years, allegations followed him. Accusations that young girls were being recruited, transported, and exploited through a system designed to protect itself through money, power, and silence. What began as rumors would eventually become one of the most disturbing criminal cases involving elite social circles in modern history. And at the center of it all was a private island. Welcome to KC's X-Files. Authorities say Epstein built a structure, not just a lifestyle, but an organized system. According to federal prosecutors and victim testimony, underage girls were recruited with promises of money, opportunity, or modeling work. Many were transported across state lines, some internationally. Multiple properties were allegedly used: residences in New York, Florida, New Mexico, and a secluded Caribbean island that would later become one of the most scrutinized locations in the world. Survivors described patterns of control, financial dependence, isolation, and intimidation. Investigators would later characterize the operation as sex trafficking of minors, a federal crime carrying severe penalties. But for years, the system appeared to continue operating largely out of public view.
Now, videos included in the latest drop provide a disturbing look inside the life of the convicted sex offender. More than 2,000 videos make up hours of footage, and it includes videos recorded by Epstein, received from others, or downloaded from the internet. Joining me now is Tanya Lukyanova, a video journalist at the Free Press. She dug through hours of that video and can give us some analysis on what she saw. We should note Free Press and CBS News share a parent company in Paramount Skydance. Tanya, good morning.
Morning.
It's traumatic for people to even dig through these files and see what they see, but you've done that. I'm curious what jumped out at you that wasn't clear before.
I think that the biggest revelation here is in the overall find of in the sheer volume of these files. You know, these files you can think of like if you were to see somebody's laptop or their phone or their devices, sort of like what kind of window into their psyche and private world can you glimpse at there? And I think we have not seen a new Epstein. We've seen this videos reveal the same Epstein over and over again, operating in plain sight, surrounded by enablers, insulated by wealth, and completely confident that this videos belong to him and they will never be sort of made public.
But you were telling me in the break that that's almost what jumps out at you, because he's recording these women and girls while he's speaking to them,
right,
thinking no one will ever see this footage.
The sheer volume of sexually explicit materials that he has asked his victims to send to him that have been found in his devices is sort of telling in and of itself. But you know, for anybody who's asking how something like this could have been happening for so long and in plain sight, I think these videos do a lot in terms of answering that question. And they really reveal the banality of Epstein's evil, I think. You know, I think he's been such a mythological creature, mythical, I should say, creature. He's been, you know, we try to ascribe him some qualities that he might not possess, because it's hard to kind of wrap our brain around how something like this could be happening. And I think these videos together, watched together, go a long way in terms of explaining how something like this could be happening.
Now, there is also a 2-hour interview conducted by Steve Bannon.
That's right.
What did that reveal?
Well, first of all, as you know, the emails have also revealed sort of a friendship of sorts that has been going on between Epstein and Steve Bannon. That is a bizarre interview. It was apparently intended for a sympathetic documentary that was meant to rehabilitate Epstein's image. It was conducted sometime in 2019. It's really meandering. It's almost 2 hours long. It goes through a number of topics. They talk about politics, economics, science, Epstein's ascent to elite institutions. But one of the bizarre moments comes at the very end where Steve Bannon sort of out of nowhere begins to pressure Epstein on whether he is the devil himself. The conversation starts, they start talking about, Bannon first asks him, what does he think of institutions accepting money from somebody like himself, which is a tier 1 sexual predator. And Epstein defends his philanthropy by arguing that, the recipients of the funds would not care about the source of the money. And he says, if the devil himself told mothers in Pakistan whose children are receiving polio vaccines that, I'm going to exchange some money for your children's lives, and then that's where Bannon interjects and he goes, do you think you're devil himself? And Epstein tries to laugh it off, and Bannon bizarrely presses him on this subject. He's like, no, it's a serious question. Do you think you're the devil himself? And it ends up being one of the last questions. Then Epstein cuts him off in a couple of minutes and says he has to go.
Quite revealing of the psyche, the twisted logic that was used, and how close he was to powerful people for so long. Really fascinating to get your take, Tanya Lukyanova. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Today.
Far from major cities, surrounded by ocean, accessible only by controlled transport. Epstein's private island became central to public attention once the investigation intensified. Flight records, staff testimony, and legal filings confirmed the island was visited by numerous individuals over time, though being present alone does not imply criminal involvement. Still, the location became symbolic. To some, it represented secrecy. To others, power without oversight. And to investigators, it represented a place where evidence, witnesses, and events might exist beyond normal scrutiny. When law enforcement eventually gained access, the world began asking a single question: how much actually happened there that no one outside the island ever saw?
Convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein remains behind bars today on the latest child sex charges lodged against him. Epstein's arrest last week has put the spotlight on a private Caribbean island he owns, one that some have dubbed the Island of Sin. Our Lisa Guerrero traveled to the Virgin Islands for this look.
It's your first look at disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein's private island. The only way to get to the island in the Virgin Islands is by boat. And there it is, Jeffrey Epstein's 70-acre retreat known as Little St. James. We've launched a drone up right now. We're trying to get a better look at the island. From above, we see a large American flag. There are multiple structures, pools, and a helipad. Palm trees line the beach. He reportedly had them shipped in and planted at $20,000 per tree. The structure behind me is the main building on this island, and it has hosted American politicians, world dignitaries, and it's also the location that is alleged to have housed these wild orgies. One mystery is this white and blue striped building that looks like a temple. It used to look like this, with a gold dome, but it was lost during a storm. So what's inside? Reportedly, it's a music room where Epstein played the piano. Captain, can you take us in for a closer look? Near shore, we climb aboard a dinghy. This looks like an island paradise, but what allegedly happened here to teenage girls was horrific. Suddenly, a member of Epstein's staff appears when I step off. Sir, is this where the young girls were brought? So this man is now asking us to leave. He's kicking us off the island, so we're going to go. Epstein's bail hearing was held in New York today. Stephen Fabian is there.
Inside the courtroom, the biggest moment came when two of Epstein's alleged victims spoke out, detailing when they say Epstein sexually abused them both, one at age 16, the other age 14. I spoke to lawyer David Boys, who represents several women who claim to be Epstein's victims. What do you know about that private island that they refer to as Sin Island? Do you know anything that happened on that island?
A lot of really bad stuff. A lot of really bad stuff.
In July 2019, Federal prosecutors in New York arrested Jeffrey Epstein on charges of sex trafficking of minors and conspiracy. This time, the case was national and global. Evidence included witness testimony, financial records, travel logs, and physical materials seized from properties. Public attention exploded. Media coverage intensified. Legal scrutiny expanded. Many believed a full trial would expose the complete structure of Epstein's operation and reveal who else may have been involved in criminal activity. But the trial never happened on August 10, 2019. While awaiting trial inside a federal detention facility in New York, Jeffrey Epstein was found unresponsive in his jail cell. He was pronounced dead shortly afterward. The official ruling by the New York City medical examiner: suicide by hanging. But the circumstances surrounding his death immediately triggered widespread public skepticism and intense scrutiny. Questions were raised about surveillance failures, guard monitoring procedures, prior safety concerns, institutional accountability. Multiple investigations examined the events inside the facility that night. Even with official findings released, public doubt never fully disappeared, because Epstein's death meant something critical. The central defendant would never testify. How did the operation continue for so long? Who knew and when? What systems failed to intervene? What evidence has never been made public? And perhaps the most persistent question of all: did Epstein's death end the story, or only close one chapter of it? Closing. The file remains history records events. But investigations leave traces, documents, testimonies, patterns, and absences. The Epstein case exposed crimes, survivors, and systemic failures. But it also left behind sealed information, ongoing litigation, and a network of connections still being examined years later. Some cases end with a verdict, others end with uncertainty, and some remain open, not in court, but in the questions people continue to ask. This is KC's X-Files.